Ahoy there, welcome to the Savvy Squid. It's Captain Katie here, and today we're going to be continuing on with the Mossery Plates Paper workbook, and I'm also going to be telling you where the heck I've been for the past month and a half. I've kind of been off the grid, so I'm going to talk about that and we're going to work on that. So let's go ahead and just get to the video. So today we're actually going to be using the masking ink. It's masking fluid and a little pin. And it has this really cool applicator tip. It's really fine, and I love that. I always struggle with masking fluid, so I'm hoping this will be pretty good. This is made by Holbein, and that is the next step. It did come in the kit, so that was just another thing. I kind of wish I had done an unboxing of the kit. If you don't remember, we painted these fruits and veggies last time, and if you want to watch that, I have the whole playlist up here. Today we're going to be painting these foods. We've got a bunch of different varieties. There's pastries, there's like regular fruits, there's like a pretzel, so we've got some really interesting foods that I'm excited to work on. I'm going to be using the palette like normal because this is what came with it. Today is all about masking fluid. The workbook goes on to talk about the masking fluid and where we're supposed to mask. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit just because it's going to take a little bit of time, and that's not completely what the video is about. So let me go ahead and do that really quick, and I'll be back. I have added all of the masking fluid to the paper. It's like this really slightly pink color. I'm not even sure if it'll show up, but it's just barely pink. And I have to wait for this to dry, of course, so I'm going to wait for this to dry and then I'll come back and we'll start painting it. And I don't believe this has any specific instructions on how to paint it. I think we're just supposed to have fun. We're going to wait for these to dry and then I'll be back. Now that the masking fluid's dried, we're going to go ahead and start painting these. Now, this doesn't really have any instruction on them, so I'm going to generally go by kind of the pictures, but I also want to play around and test out some different techniques. So we're just going to play around with it, really. I'm going to start with this egg here, and I'm going to mix up kind of a, I don't even know, like a dusky yellow. I don't want it to be like brown, of course, but I also don't want it to be a really bright yellow. Maybe we'll have a separate yellow for the brighter parts. And I'm going to go in and just kind of, I don't know, just dot in some of the lighter color, and then I want to go in with this like darker brown just for like the shadow. And yeah, just kind of play around with a little bit of color, maybe add a little bit of vermilion in there to warm it up. I never really experiment with a lot of color in my art, and that's something I regret because I try to just get things done and I don't experiment. And experimentation, in my opinion, is probably one of the most fun parts of doing art. I'm gonna move on to the egg white here, and I'm just gonna take some yellow ochre and I'm just really gonna lighten that up, and we're just going to kind of really lightly do a wash on the outside of this egg here, you know, to give the illusion that it was cooked. And then pretty much the egg is done. There's a little bleedage there, but I love me some good bleedage, so I'm just gonna darken that part of the egg up again and let it bleed, let it have fun. Alright, so I'm not talking over every part of this video and telling you exactly what my thought process. I know a lot of you do enjoy hearing my thought process, but sometimes I actually have something to talk about, and this happens to be one of those times. Okay, I don't know about you, but I really hate it when I get like a water bead on the ferrule. It's really annoying. Anyway, so I'm going to paint this little croissant. I don't even know that's what this is, but that's what I'm going to paint, and we're going to talk. So, you may be wondering, Katie, where have you been? Like I mentioned earlier, I've not been posting a whole lot. Well, if you're a patron, you've probably already heard, so I'm just repeating myself at this point. This is knowledge you already have. But if you're not a patron, then you don't know this, but I went, okay, so currently I live in Washington State, if you don't know, and I used to live in Indiana. We have a lot of family there, and we went back. Initially, it was for a wedding. My husband's brother was getting married to his fiance, as one does, and anyway, so they were getting married, and they got married the day before Halloween. And, you know, we wanted to surprise them, so we didn't tell, like, anybody. We told one person, so we were able to kind of RSVP. But we tried to keep it a big secret from pretty much the rest of the family. And the night before we were supposed to leave, we found out that my husband's grandfather, he wasn't doing very well. We found out he was in the hospital, and I had heard that they didn't expect him to make it through the night. And of course, nobody wants to get news like that. So, you know, we were all pretty worried, and we tried to get to Indiana as fast as we could. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get our flight any sooner because the nonstop flight that we did have was basically the only nonstop that went to Indiana, and it was the earliest one that they had had. So we basically had the best flight that we could get at the time, which was very upsetting, and so we just decided to wait it out. And I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified that we were going to get a text or something saying he passed before we were able to get there. Thankfully, that was not the case. The text we did get when we got off the plane, this was a 3.5-hour flight, by the way, was that he was actually doing a little better. And so that was great news. You know, we got to be there, we got to visit a little bit, and it was really nice. Anyway, so they had the wedding, and it was a lovely wedding. It was, there's something in the paint. Gross. Anyway, it was a themed wedding, so they had like little costumes, and the bride and groom dressed up as Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. Super adorable. Anyway, so, you know, we had a good time, and then not the day after, but 2 days after, their grandfather passed away, unfortunately. And so what was going to be a 4-day stay ended up turning into a 13-day stay. We weren't going to be there for very long because, well, we have animals. I have 2 cats and a dog, and one of them was at a kennel, which was the dog, and the cats, they're super self-sufficient, so we were just like, you know, they'll be fine if we just kind of give them an auto feeder. You know, we're not going to be gone for that long. Well, unfortunately, they were fine, though. They had enough food to get through, so, like, they didn't starve or anything. For anybody wondering, they actually were fat and happy, and the day we came home was the day they ran out of food, so there was no need for worry. Now, had we noticed, we have Ring cameras at our house, and so had we noticed their food supply getting low, we would have come home sooner. But anyway, so we wanted to be there, you know, for the funeral and for, you know, the family, because it's our family. We wanted to be there, of course. So that was, you know, one of the things that one of the reasons we stayed for so long. But yeah, it was sad. I don't know. We were all really close to him. I have been in their family now for 11 years. And so I was I say in their family, you know what I mean? I've been with my husband, like, together with him for 11 years. And so, by extension, I was in their family, you know. And it was really sad. He was a really great guy, and the nice thing is, if you believe in an afterlife, like I do, he's in a better place. And that's the best we can hope for, and, you know, he's not in any more pain and all that good stuff, so, I am grateful for that, but it is sad, and we're all sad. We all took our own separate time to grieve and stuff. I'm just now realizing I missed masking off the edges here, so I'll have to go back in with gel pen for that. But, you know, I know it was under not so great circumstances, but it was really nice to just kind of visit with everybody. We don't really have much in the way of like friends and family up here. Actually, we don't have any of that right now. My goal is to try to make friends. I'm horrible at making friends. Online friends are great. I'm good at that. Actually, I'm not even really good at that, but real life friends, yeah, that's another story. But anyway, so it was a lot longer than we anticipated, and thankfully we didn't have to pay for a hotel that whole time, because buddy, that would have been expensive. About halfway through, I think, a family member was like, why don't you just stay with us? And so we were like, are you sure? And they were like, well, duh. So we stayed with a family member for a little bit. But anyway, that's where we've been. We left on October 29th. Again, I was expecting to be home, and we weren't. And then we got back, and it was just, I don't even know. It was just kind of a go, go, go situation. We had to get our dog, and then I got sick afterwards. I'm trying to color match this to the best of my ability, and I don't think I did a very good job. This is like a more brown. I need to neutralize this. Give me some of that blue. This ought to be a little more red. That's fine. But anyway, I got really sick after we got home. It wasn't anything serious. It was just a cold, for those wondering. But it still was not fun, and for some reason it lasted forever. And Hub had to go back to work, so like he couldn't baby me. No, I'm kidding. But I think the worst part of it is, I'm sure all of you moms know this one, being sick when you have littles at home. That is the worst thing, I think, because you want to give them all the attention, but at the same time, you're sick. So I think that's not very fun, but, you know, we made do with what we had, and Hub took care of me when he could and all that good stuff. So he babied me probably more than he should have, because he would try to stay home from work, and I was like, you have to go to work. And he's like, I know, but I gotta take care of you. He's sweet. But anyway, so it was an interesting time, because like I said, it was just one thing after another, and I'm finally back to making videos, thankfully. But it'll kind of be a little bit of a backlog of videos, so I've tried to film in bulk here, so you'll be getting quite a few interesting videos coming up, and I hope you're excited for them, because there's quite a few I'm excited for, one of them being an art supply haul, which I haven't done in what feels like forever, so I'm very excited about that. Let's see, there are there's just a bunch of new things coming, and I'm very excited. So I hope you're excited too, and I hope you stick around. Again, I am so sorry for just being absent, and for some reason, I don't have like the little community thing on YouTube yet, probably because I'm like new, technically, because I started a new channel. That could be it. So anyway, yeah, I'm actually surprised I got through most of these paintings while like talking. That's pretty surprising. Trying to remember to work in layers, because when I use watercolor, I try to get everything done in one layer. Kind of like what I did here. Glad that was still wet. Anyway, so that's kind of what happened to me over the course of basically a month, and yeah, so I hope you're excited that I'm back. We're almost at 100 subscribers, which is so exciting. I actually didn't think it would go so fast, so thank you so much for being here. Another thing I want to talk about is my shop, since it is on the forefront of my mind currently. And the reason it's on the forefront of my mind is because I just packaged a store order, actually, so I've been kind of thinking about it a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go back over this croissant. I think it's dry. Actually, it does not look dry, so we're not going to touch it. Anyway, so I recently had a Cyber Monday sale in the shop, and it went really well, and I want to thank any of you and all of you that support me over on that, and really anywhere else. I appreciate all the support I get. And anyway, so the Cyber Monday Black Friday sale is now over, but I do want to tell you that if you are still looking for a sale and you still want some holiday items, I can try my best to get them to you before the holidays, but you'll have to order really soon. And you can use the code MarySquidmiss to get 15% off your order. If you're a patron, there's a code over on Patreon to get 30% off of your entire order, and that lasts for the rest of the month. So I'm going to let all this dry because I think most of it isn't dry still, and then we'll come back and we'll finish it up. And we're back. So this did not dry. Not even close to the color I wanted. So we're going to try to color correct that, but first I'm going to call the egg done. So that one's done, but I think I want to just kind of zhuzh up this croissant a little bit. I really like the idea of adding like texture into it, just kind of by like dotting the brush. So we're going to do that. So I apologize, the rest of this video is probably going to be my thought process because I don't have anything else to talk about. Not that I can think of anyway. I don't know, but for now we're going to be darkening up this croissant. And I really like the variation in just the watercolor in general. I think it looks really nice. And I do want to add a little bit more to the top of this as well, just because I feel like it lightened up a little bit more than I wanted it to. And I'm pretty sure I was supposed to actually preserve some of this. But you know what? This is my art. We're going to do it the way I want to. So I'm going to add in a couple of lines to kind of denote where it sections off a little bit. And I'm probably going to forget about it later. But I'm going to try to come back. Again, I've got the white paint and I also have a white gel pen, so I may have to use that. Okay, so for this, I think I'm going to glaze over it just like a lighter, more rich color, because this brown was just not doing it for me. It was more like a burnt brownie and not an actual brownie. Like, not a tasty looking one. Alright, I'm going to kind of just dot in here. And you know, I know an interesting technique for darkening up without using black. So I'm going to try that here and see if it maybe helps the color stay a little bit more rich than what it was. The cherry, I do want to darken up just a bit, just right in that middle area. Just going to, I'm just going to, just from like the middle on down, maybe I might pop in some variation, but I think the cherry is pretty much done after that. I'm also going to make just like a little green stem. I'm going to be kind of generic with it and just go with verde and green. And maybe a little bit of brown here at the end. Alright, the cherry, I'm also going to darken up this this strawberry here. I used a bit too much water. I didn't have a paper towel at the time to kind of help me dab some of that up. So I have a little bit left over from this, what's it called? The pretzel, and I'm going to darken it just a touch, just to get these really like shadowed areas from where it's, you know, baked a little bit more than the rest of it. Definitely needs to be a touch darker because this is where I'm putting the shadow in. Oh, and right here too. And then I think this is supposed to be like a little, I don't even know, like a takoyaki or something. I'm honestly not 100%, so I'm just going to use that same technique I used for the brownie to darken it up because adding black was a bad idea. And this is a bit more of like a chocolatey color. Add a little bit of Opera Rose into this just because I feel like it's going to make it a little bit more rosy. I feel like that's what a lot of these baked goods need, are just like warmer colors. Okay, I'm just gonna plop in the leaves of this strawberry as well. I'm not gonna be super picky about how that looks. And then, honestly, I think I'm gonna add a touch. I know I said I wasn't going to. I'm gonna add a touch of black just down here. Just because I honestly think that's what the artist did here in the brownie, because there are some really dark parts. So we're just going to add a little bit of the, it's not even black, it's like neutral or something, neutral tint I think. But I also need it to be dark and not watery. I'm going to have to blot this. Actually, I'm going to. We're just going to go straight in with the neutral tint. Suppose you can't really go wrong with that, huh? And I'm hoping it'll blend into the burnt sienna. I'll go back over with some burnt sienna. I'm really just trying to darken this up to make it look more cube-like. And my mix got kind of watery. And so it was pushing out all of the pigment instead of darkening it up. Well, time to test how well this stuff lifts, because I think I made this down here a little too dark. Alright, so for the last step, I'm going to let this stuff dry, and then we're going to come back, peel off the masking fluid, and then add any of like the final details, because I know in these, if my camera will focus, that each little area is colored, so we'll see what it needs, but I'll be back after this is dry. Time to peel off the masking tape. Now, I know a lot of people like to rub their fingers on masking tape, but I always find that it picks up the watercolor when I do that, and some other people like to use an eraser, but I like to use, so some paintbrushes have like a little pointed end. I just like to use that. You can just kind of scrape away at it, and then once it's big enough to pick up, you can just peel it right off, and it's really satisfying. So far, this masking fluid is really nice. I usually struggle with masking fluid. It either rips the paper or just drives me nuts. So far, so good. But yeah, this is going to be kind of tedious, so I just wanted to share that with you. Actually, though, I think this has ripped up the paper a bit, but this could be my fault due to the fact that I'm not sure this paper is 100% dry. And I am being extremely gentle with this. It may look like I'm going pretty ham, but I'm honestly not. I'm actually barely using it. Alright, so we've got these little doodads. And I'm not gonna lie, this whole thing feels kind of like icky. It's very sticky. Alright. Onto the little sprinkles. These are coming off a lot better than the little croissant thing. I just love the contrast of where you put it down, like the masking fluid, and then when you pull it back up. I don't know about you, but it's always super duper satisfying for me. Alright, well there is nothing really to talk about outside of that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this masking fluid, and then I will be back. So I'm back, and I had something really strange happen. So as I was peeling this off, I noticed that other parts of the piece I had painted were tacky, kind of like the masking fluid. And I don't know if you can tell from this pretzel here, but a lot of the paint came up. It's like if I painted over it, it mixed with the water and ended up getting on the underlayer. It was very strange. So I'm going to have to do some of my own testing to see if that's the case or not. But for now, we're going to finish these up a little bit. And I'm going to be super quick with these. So like for the sprinkles, we're just going to paint them real quick. No rhyme or reason. I'm just going to kind of go in and paint some little sprinkles. And a lot of these other ones are really just kind of light versions of what's already there. So I'm just going to kind of dab it in. You can't really tell on this little croissant. I think it's supposed to be like salt or something. Not entirely sure. For both the cherry and the egg, I'm going to leave them alone. And then for the strawberry, I'm just going to paint just a little shadow in each one. And for the salt, I'm going to have to clean up my palette a little bit. I think I'm just going to use a little neutral tint, a little brown. I don't know why I'm reaching so far. It's like I'm actively trying to keep this out of vision. And I'm just going to kind of dab in little bits of salt here and there. Nothing crazy. These aren't great. And you know, I don't care for them that much, but whatever. I'm not upset about it, so. It could certainly be worse. Could it be better? Yeah, but it could also be worse. Alright, and then for this little ball of food here that I'm not entirely sure what it is, I'm just going to paint it kind of how the painting is. I don't really know what that sauce is supposed to be. Oh, and there are little black specks on it. I didn't even see that. Oh, I'll do that later, but I think this is it. They look like tasty, yummy foods. Do I think they could be better? Sure. I don't know what happened with that masking fluid. I want to figure that out. Here's like my little pile of liquid latex. So what are we going to be doing next time? Next time we're going to be painting actual like whole food things. Actually, I want to see what's next on the page. Okay, so this one, I think it's out of order. Yeah. So we've got the Laputa egg toast. You can't see that. That one, and then we'll be painting the egg sandwich. And I don't know. I think I'm going to try to keep them in one video, like one page, one video kind of deal. But we shall see. But anyway, this is the finished little doodle for this page, and I will see you next time we do the plates of paper. It won't be for a couple of weeks because I have some other videos planned, but look forward to it when we do come back. I love you all so incredibly much. Stay safe on the seas out there, and until next time, toodaloo!